Hello, everybody. This is Gynarchic Awakening. Um, sorry. Oh, jeez. I plan on making a few more videos in the upcoming days, although I won't be making them as frequently as I used to because I am working on certain projects, one of which I will demonstrate to you in a following video. This one is going to be about the importance of finding survival buddies for Gynarchists and why you need to begin your search now. Ideally, best case scenario, your survival buddy is also a Gynarchist. However, your worst case scenario is it's probably just going to be somebody who doesn't share your political beliefs at all. But regardless, you do need to put in the self development work now. You need to learn how to take care of yourselves now because there will come a time when the internet is gone, when civilization is finished. And when that day comes, all that hard work that will likely piss you off, that may cost you sleep and all sorts of other things, take away time from personal pleasure activities, it's all going to pay off. I can promise you that, and I'll do whatever I can to encourage that. Maybe I'll set up some kind of event, set up an event or set up events or coordinate with people to set up events. But why is finding a survival buddy so important? And why do you have to start doing the work now? There has I want to call it psychological dependence. When we look at the system, when we look at what it is that we reside in, what we also preside over, there are a lot of individuals who are seeking quick solutions to very complicated uh, generational problems. And that is because human beings in general, are no longer surviving in the way that they did thousands of years ago. Thousands of years ago, every day, pretty much, you had to work hard. You had to work hard. You had to light a fire. You had to build shelter. You had to do these things. Whenever there was a disaster, you had to pick up and start over again. There was movement, physical activity. People were driven by their boredom of what not to do, of of what they could do. Sorry, when they weren't engaging in these activities. And now we have generated an environment in which we can entertain ourselves without actually doing much of anything. That's kind of the fascinating development or turn of events in the human species, which is now I can, with just the press of a button, I can watch a YouTube video or turn on the television. Just a few more clicks, I can watch whatever shows I want, and none of this involves serious physical effort. And I believe that this is partially what leads to psychological dependency, because as a species, we become dependent on the things around us to keep us alive. And one of those things, of course, is entertainment. Uh, but it's become so disproportionate that I don't know that many people could ever see their lives without the modern day conveniences that they have. You're probably wondering, okay, this is all great, Gynarchic, but what the fuck does this have to do with a survival buddy? Because of the psychological dependence that manifests itself as a result of all these conveniences, as a result of all this technology, human beings are almost conditioned in a way to look for easy solutions because they want to go back to that state of mind, that state of psychological dependence, but they also want to go back to a state of not working, not having to put in any effort because they are comfortable with the comfort that is provided by the level of technology at present. And psychological dependence, when somebody begins to form a serious level of dependence on the system that they exist in, they don't, a lot of them stop caring about themselves. They get into alcohol or drugs. There's other addictions. Video games was one, unfortunately, that I fell into when I should have been working on myself, and I'll never live that down, even now, at least not for myself. So if you have been reading these discussions that Gynarchists post, they almost frame, it's almost as if they frame everything that will lead to this thing. Like, if we just elect these people, if we just do this thing, voila, we're done. And I think that that is psychologically satisfying because human beings already have to do whatever work they're doing in addition to everything else. And so the idea that if you just vote for this particular group or whatever, then you don't have to do anything else, right? And I think that the psychological dependence that human beings have on the system is so severe now that they don't want to put in the same level of effort because that will take away from the other activities. So they seek out something that will answer all of their questions, their fears, their concerns in a timely manner. But that won't work with global heating. Now, just to be clear, this isn't something that Gynarchists are vulnerable to alone. There's another group that's been doing this too. In this case, there's been like these uh, far right individuals on the far right, who have been claiming that the government can control the weather by way of something called HAARP, HAARP, something. This is another example of not only avoiding accountability and shifting blame away from us. We're the ones that pumped the CO2 up and heated the planet up. Not only is it that, but why a machine? Why is this particular invented narrative so psychologically satisfying and attractive to people on the far right? The reason for that is because if the machine does exist and if you can find it, you can turn it off, right? Easy solution. Almost like it's right out of a James Bond movie. You just need to send James out there. James will get it, he'll solve it, and then everything will go back to normal. This kind of need to oversimplify what is causing problems for human beings is exactly a consequence of what happens when we become so addicted to modern conveniences that we stop examining things on a deeper level. We stop analyzing everything around us. We stop using our brain, and instead we look to the system. We say to you, the system, please solve the problem. You know, they're essentially admitting that they are helpless. If you really stop to think about it, these conservatives are essentially saying that they're helpless, whether they want to admit that or not, right? Because if it was really just so easy to find a weather machine, well, you've got millions of people out there. Why don't you get into groups and go and find this weather machine if you really think it's the problem? You know why they don't? Because some of them need to invent the narrative because deep down they know they're wrong, but they understand the impact that narrative will have, and so they go with it. Then you've got the other individuals who genuinely believe this stuff that other people within their own group are pumping out. They genuinely think that it's not the fact that oceans are getting warmer, that the planet overall in general is getting warmer, and that that is contributing to more violent storms. No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with somebody making a fucking weather machine and fucking with people. And I mean, I have family members who, I mean, thankfully my nephew was okay. Then I learned that him and his family are like these hardcore right wingers who believe in crazy conspiracy theories. They said, oh, they were trying to kill Republicans. Um, I don't know if you noticed this, but in every community, there are Democrats and there are Republicans. Every single one. Now, if you think that somebody is going around and killing people and killing their own people just to change the outcome of an election, that's really out there. But moreover, it's interesting also how they only invent this conspiracy theory for this particular area or for the United States. Because again, this is driven partially by narcissism, American narcissism, which is a particularly toxic brand of it. Uh, there's a bunch of other weather events going on around the planet. Are they claiming that their weather machines are doing that too? I mean, also, it's funny to think about because let's say that they invent some cockamamie scenario where they literally build a prototype thing to make and then claim it's a machine and then they take it away. Well, what happens when the storms still keep getting worse and everything's getting worse? What are you going to do then? Do you understand where I'm going with this? If not, I'll just spell it out for you. Whether it's the government or global heating, you're still going to have to learn survival skills and take care of yourself. The thing about the whole machine thing is it gives somebody a psychological excuse to opt out of working on themselves because they can just blame the other people. It's like, well, no, what we need to do is we just need to vote for the right people in power, and then the right people will make the right decisions. You see, but no, they don't. And even if they did, they're not stopping global heating. And the reason why is because you can't stop human nature. Human nature pretty much caused this problem. And now we are seeing likely the end of most of us. Not everybody. A few million left here or there, but most of us are about to get clipped by the planet. So these individuals, just like within the Gynarchy community, there seems to be this psychological need to find the most simple solution to complex problems that we either don't want to think about or don't really understand, or have convinced ourselves somehow that we do when we don't. And the reason for this, of course, is simple. It's because most of us want to keep the existing thing in place because it helps us survive, and not just on a physical level. It's surviving emotionally, psychologically. But the downside of all of this dependence is that it takes away your focus from doing what you have the ability and power to do. So if you're saying that somebody has a machine or whatever and they're doing whatever it is, like nefarious thing, like Dr. Evil's type shit. I'm sorry. I was trying to get through this video without laughing about this, but it is a thing. People like, okay, well, let's just send in Mr. Bond. He'll solve the problem, right? Or let's just send in X guy. He'll get it done. Human beings are delusional to some extent, in that we think that we can control everything, but we can't. And that right there is also how you know that you're dealing with a narcissist, because narcissists don't like the idea that they don't have absolute control over everything, and it, I'm sure, actively pisses them off. But you need a survival buddy because without that, it's hard to motivate yourself to do these things. It's hard to motivate yourself to get up in the morning and to learn new skills and to keep up the good fight for your own well-being and benefit. It is very difficult to keep doing that. And that's because you were born into something and you became addicted to something, and you didn't realize that the civilization you were in itself is its own addiction. And because of this attachment, people want to hold on to it. People don't want to believe that it's on its way out. They want to think that they can control the outcome. No, you need to learn how to control yourself, and having somebody with you to help motivate you and for you to motivate them is one of the best ways to do it. I don't know if I gave the best explanation, but that is my perspective on it.